Fields forever. Mic check.
Strawberry fields forever.
This microphone isn't plugged in. This one knows the work.
Hi. You didn't bring the coffee.
I drank it all. There's no point in bringing an empty cup.
What do you want some water?
Cup. No, I'm good.
Okay.
Then I won't make noises.
What's in the box?
What's in the box?
What's in the fucking box?
What's in the fucking box?
Huh? How you doing?
Doing all right.
Good.
I think the weather is getting my allergies all.
Allergied?
I think my allergies are all combobulated. I'm
allergy modulated.
I'm feeling a little in the face.
A little in the face.
In the face.
So first off, anybody who did watch the last episode, I appreciate it because it was long. It was like 2 hours.
How many views do we get on it?
2. So thank you for the 2 people that watched it.
Oh, we're doing so good at this.
But it's 2 hours, so we were doing really good.
I'm just kidding.
No, we were doing really good until the 2 hour one, and then it kind of just like died.
I get it,
because most people don't want to watch a 2 hour YouTube video.
Yeah, it makes sense. I wouldn't want to either.
Maybe. But I had a thingy that I wanted to talk to you. There's a couple things that I'm going to wrap into this, but...
He's going to wrap.
Wrap into it. There's a couple things I'm going to wrap into this, but first I was thinking about the other day I was thinking about like roles in marriages, because there's a big thing, a trend of like what it is to be in a traditional marriage or traditional relationship.
Oh, yeah, like the whole traditional wife.
Yeah.
Trend on Facebook or whatever, like trad wife, is that what it's called? Trad wife?
I don't know what it's called.
It's something like that, yeah.
But anyway, but I was thinking about that, and then it put me down. Well, that's kind of what we're going to get into, because it put me down a rabbit trail of like thoughts on my way to work because of it. So that's why I said I'm going to wrap a couple things into this. But so I want to start by saying, because this feeds into my first point, I want to start by saying, do you or have you had an expectation of what you would want to, like, what a wife is to you? I don't know how to word that. Like, if you were like, I'm going to be a wife, and these are the things I'm going to do as a wife, or these are the things that I want to be as a wife, or whatever.
See, so first
off, has that changed?
First off, right off the bat, just like I've said before.
Shit. Do you have your phone?
Yes.
Time is it?
Time to get ill.
Okay.
It's a Beastie Boys reference, by the way. So first off, I'm just gonna go right on straight saying blah 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 blah.
You're not gonna say much of anything.
Not gonna say shit. That's how the wife's supposed to be, right? Shut the fuck up. Look pretty. No, how you are in a relationship shouldn't change just because you're a wife. So that is like contradictory right there off the bat, is like expectations shouldn't change just because you got married. That is the killer of all marriages. And then or relationships in general. Expectations is the absolute destroyer of all relationships. So I guess just whoever you are before you get into the relationship should be who you continue to be in the relationship. I mean, obviously not like if you're like, oh, I like to fuck around with a bunch of different guys. Like, if your relationship
probably not the best.
Is not about fucking around with a bunch of other people, then maybe just stop that part. But I'm just saying, like,
as far as like,
I've never liked to do dishes, so.
Well, and that's kind of, it kind of feeds, I don't know, that kind of feeds into other things. There's a point that I'm trying to get at. However, like, as far as like duties, I don't know how to word that without you taking it personal. As like a
no. I get what you're saying, and but I've personally have never seen that just because your sex should determine your household duties. I think that your household duties should be determined based off of like other factors, like job factors, or what you do better, or how it works better as far as partnership wise. So like if you like as we know, I suck at doing dishes. I hate doing them and I suck at doing them, and almost anything can trigger me to not want to do them. And you aren't like that. So it makes it easier relationship wise when you do the dishes. But right now, with me being home all the time and you being at work, I guess my expectation, if it was roles reversed, would be that you would do the housework. So
going back, and I don't know if I'm going to word this different, but going back to my original question though, with that, was there ever a time, or has there ever been a time where you have looked at yourself not just as like a woman, but just you personally as like
a person
in a relationship? These are the things that I would contribute or would be, quote, my duties in the relationship.
Yeah, well, I mean, I don't know.
Has that part of it changed over time? Or is it pretty consistent of like, I want to be the one to make all the money, so I'm the one that makes all the money?
Well, okay, so early on in life, I didn't really get the choice. I was the one who made all the money. So it was kind of just, it was just kind of like, I'm making the money, what the hell are you doing? Go fucking work, or go clean, or go do this or do that, wash the dishes, do the laundry, feed the kids, take care of the kids. Obviously that expectation wasn't met ever. Like, and when I was with that person, their expectation is that that's the women's duties and that this and that. But my thing then, and even now, is, but you're not doing the man's duties. If you're expecting me to do the female duty, the traditional female duties of the household, then you need to be holding up your end of the bargain. If you're expecting me to cook, clean, do the dishes, feed the kids, take care of the kids, laundry, everything else, whatever, then you need to be holding up to your bargain of paying all the fucking bills, working, doing the fucking honeydews. Like, if I need the gutters cleaned, you should be cleaning the gutters, right? Like, those are the traditional man duties, right? So, but like at the same time, I don't necessarily expect those things. I just, like, even right now with our relationship, I know I'm not meeting up to standard as far as what I expect out of our relationship right now. But right now, you're the one making the money. I'm the one sitting at home. I mean, I'm not
acknowledge that though.
Well, yeah, I mean, there are other contributing factors, but we talk and discuss about that, and we understand that not everything's perfect right now, and we're trying to get there, but it's gonna take time. Nothing happens overnight. But as far as our relationship, I'm not even expecting you to do like the outdoor duties. I'm not expecting you to do the honeydews. Like, I don't expect you to mow the lawn. I'll do it. I've done it. I've been doing it. Like, I'll go do the gutters. I got on the roof the other day and cut a tree off the fucking electrical wires. Like, I don't mind. I'll go do it. And that's the weird part about me specifically, is I prefer that type of work. I prefer doing the honeydews. I prefer mowing the lawn. I prefer doing the yard work. I prefer fixing things in the house over other shit. But I also do have like certain things that I do like to do in the house. Like, I would rather be the one to clean the bathroom. because I'm particular about how my bathroom is cleaned. I don't like dishes. I don't like laundry. I don't want to do them. And my brain completely shuts that off from everything.
So, I want to go back to something that you said.
Okay.
Because when you were saying that there are expectations in our relationship that you're not living up to.
Yeah. As far as my end, I don't know what you're expecting out of me, but as far as what I'm expecting out of me, I'm not living up to it. But
this leads me into my point that I talked to you about originally when I was telling you that this is something that I wanted to talk about.
Mm-hmm.
Is the reason why I asked this and what started my kind of rabbit trail down this thought.
Like, I'm doing all the work and she ain't doing shit.
No. It wasn't. No. It wasn't even that. It was that unless you have communication with your significant other, your partner, husband, wife, whatever, and this goes both ways as far as marriage and relationships go.
Mm-hmm.
If you don't have communication, then you could, in a relationship with that dynamic, you could breed conflict that you don't know about.
Yeah.
And like I told you, this is kind of what started this whole thing of my thought process is that if I won't say a good percentage, but a lot of men go into relationships, whether it's at the forefront of their thought or it's just I can't think of the word right now. Oh well, like the subconscious thing. That was the word I was thinking of. Most men go into relationships wanting a woman to do those things.
Yeah.
To cook, to clean, to do all these
things. Because it's just programmed in.
Yeah, because for the most part, psychologically, we have moms that do that for us. Mm-hmm. And kind of the more we grow up, we go, oh, women do these things for us.
Yeah.
So if I go into a relationship with this thought process, like I said, whether it's at the forefront or whether it's subconscious, of I'm going to be in a relationship with this person, they're going to do all these things for me. And you don't have that as your expectation for yourself. You know what I mean? Like you as a woman in a relationship are like, I don't want to cook. I don't want to clean. I don't want to do that. So you already know that this isn't the person you're going to be in this relationship.
Yeah. No, I'm not a trad wife.
Yeah. So and vice versa. If you go into a relationship wanting like a manly man who like does all the housework and works all the time and like does all these things, and let's say I'm not that person,
mm-hmm.
then right off the bat we're gonna have conflict.
Yeah, we're setting conflict.
And whether it doesn't have to be like arguing all the time.
Mm-hmm.
Like, and this is kind of what I was thinking about the other day when we were in the house, is that it'll be little things unless you talk to your partner about it. Unless you really have these conversations ahead of time. Like, I already knew that you didn't want to do dishes or laundry before we.
Oh yeah.
Like,
no,
long before that.
That's one of the things we've talked about in the podcast before, though, is that like I told you straight out the bat who I am and what kind of person I am
mm-hmm.
to live with.
Mm-hmm.
Not just who I am in relationship wise, but also who I am to live with.
Mm-hmm.
Like, if I'm living by myself with just me and the kids, I'll do everything because I don't mind. It's just me and my kids. But at the minute I have to start cleaning up after another person that's not my own flesh and blood child,
mm-hmm.
that's when my brain is like, fuck that, I ain't doing that shit.
You're an adult. You can do it. Yeah.
No, I'm not fucking cleaning your dish. Like, I don't know why, but my brain is just like, no.
But then there's things, and this kind of feeds into the...
And I told you that straight out the bat before we were even thinking about dating. Like, I was like, I don't cook, I don't
clean.
But let me tell you how I got this ring. No, it wasn't that I don't cook and clean, because I'll cook, I'll clean, but mm-hmm. like, I'm not doing dishes and I'm not doing laundry. Mm-hmm. Like, I'll do it if I have to. Like, if it gets down to the end of the wire as far as laundry, you've seen it.
Yeah.
If I'm like, oh shit, I really need laundry, I'll pack everything up and go to the fucking laundromat and do it. But the daily laundry down the basement, I ain't fucking doing that shit. maybe if you bring the washer upstairs, but this basement washer and dryer machine thing, fuck that.
It's fucking your shit up.
I am not walking up and down them stairs all day long.
But like this kind of feeds into the traditional marriage thing, is because me and you have talked about this, and again, there are things that you have done, there are things that even you have acknowledged that since you are staying home, you haven't been on top of.
Yeah.
Just you personally, not like me being like, you should really fucking do this since you're
no, but I'm acknowledging like, okay, yeah, I'm not working, and I'm also not really like living up to like the standard of like what I would expect out of the other person if they weren't working. It's not like what I expect. It's not that I'm like, oh shit, I'm not doing the things that I know he expects me to do. It's like, oh shit, I'm not doing the things that I would expect him to do as the person sitting at home with no job. But at the same time, we've talked about it and we understand that, because, I mean, because you've been home with him as well, like, our toddler is a lot. He is a lot, and he is attached to me, like, and he does make things a lot difficult. He does make things a lot harder to do things. But at the same time, that's not necessarily an excuse because...
Well, I'll go down this trail for a minute, because this is kind of my point to this.
Trailing.
So there was an example of this that happened with us while I was thinking about this. So I've seen many videos of like guys and girls talking about like traditional marriage and like, this is what a traditional wife should be, this is what a traditional man should be, blah blah blah, whatever, right? Which, whatever. Works for you, it works for you. I don't fucking care. If your whole thing, if you like being a traditional wife that sits at home all the time and is expected to do everybody's dishes and laundry and whatever, and that gives you fulfillment then in your relationship, fine, whatever. I'm not going to tell you that you're betraying the women race because of that.
And that's another thing too. If we were both working and it was like an equal working like thing, like, I would expect both of us to be equally sharing the responsibilities as far as like cleaning and cooking and doing like, and not like, oh, I cook dinner, so it's your turn to cook dinner kind of stuff, because like there are things that some of us don't like doing. Like, I don't like doing dishes, so I'll cook dinner every night if you do all the dishes kind of thing. Or even like, just other shit like that. Like, hey, I don't like doing this, so do you mind taking over that thing and I'll take over something you don't like doing? So
again, I'm going to use my example in this, but again, because of the conversations me and you have had with you being home all the time, there have been times where I've come home and like you haven't picked up, or like
it looks like a fucking tornado ran through the house.
And I've walked in the door while you're sleeping in the morning when I get home, and I'm like, fuck, like, I might as well fucking start cleaning before they get up, or else it's going to be 10 times worse tomorrow or today when I wake up. But like, for the most part, I'm not like an asshole about it. And for the most part, I don't bother you about it. I don't like bust through the door and be like, you could fucking clean. You're the only one fucking home. But like, but that leads into my example of when I was thinking about this, is that me and you have talked about that, and you've been, with a lot of other things, with you being home, you've been relatively getting better at other things.
Yeah.
And so that's a big part of why I haven't really given you shit about anything else, is because not only do I understand how difficult, I mean, not on a constant basis, but I do understand how difficult having Wyatt all day long is.
Yeah.
Especially at the times where I'm sleeping during the day, and not only do you have to wrangle him, but you have to keep him quiet, or try at least to keep him quiet. So I get that part, and it doesn't really give a whole lot of time to do anything else.
Well, and because of our weird sleeping habit right now, too, I don't have nap time either, because I also have to sleep during nap time. Otherwise, I don't get sleep, basically, because of the fact that Wyatt sleeps in such a strange schedule, and then I have to be up early to, visit Dad in the mornings. It's not like before where I could sleep until like Wyatt wakes up at like 11 or 12. I have to be up at like 8.
So Anyway, that being said, is that the other day you had said it was 2 weeks, but you had said 2 weeks prior you were going to do dishes. You're like, I'm going to do the dishes.
Yeah,
like I remember, like you were like yelled at yourself on Sunday before I went to work, and you're like, Cheryl, you are going to do the dishes.
I did some of them,
and I know, but you didn't do all of them.
No, I didn't. I didn't do any of the cups. I did everything but the cups.
And then by the time of the event of my example, no, this was last weekend.
Oh, okay.
But by that time, Emma had already used like plates and bowls and shit.
Oh, yeah.
There was still shit in there, and then there was shit in the living room, and there was shit in the kitchen. And I got up, and I went into the kitchen, and you were doing something. You were making something. I can't remember. Either you were cleaning or you were making something. I can't remember which. Oh, when you were making pasta.
Oh, the chicken Alfredo.
Yeah. And I walked out there and I gave you a hug and I said thank you for making food or whatever. And then I made your coffee for you while you're like making food. Yeah. And I didn't really do it in a like pointed way. Like it wasn't like I didn't really think about it. I just did it because like you were in the process of making food and making coffee. And so I just kind of just did it for you so you didn't have to do that. And then that got me thinking to myself of like, that situation, if you don't know your partner and don't think outside of that, like, this is your job, this is my job thing.
Yeah.
That would have been an argument. I know it would have been an argument. I've had that argument before. For sure. Mm-hmm. Like, instead, and I didn't even think, I thought about it afterward. I didn't think about it in the moment. I was just like, oh, like, she's actually, and I know this is going to sound mean to you, but I don't mean it mean.
Yeah.
It literally, my brain went, she's actually making food for once. So, like, you should.
Yeah.
So, like, you should do something.
Well, because I haven't really made.
You should do something nice for her.
And I don't blame you, though, because I haven't really made dinner since I started the drug trials for the depression. So, I was making dinner almost every night before I started on the medication. But ever since I started, like, trying the medications for depression, I haven't even touched a fucking pot or pan.
So I did it because I was like, oh, because also I told you this too. Also in the same regard, and I guess you didn't notice, but I realized that I had stopped verbally telling you that I appreciated you.
Yeah.
Yeah,
which I hadn't noticed until you said it. And then even then I didn't really notice. I just noticed that you said it.
Which was good for me. No, but like, but before that, I was like, I am like, oh, thank you, or like things like that. But I stopped like verbally telling you that I appreciate you and why I appreciate you, and not just like a pass, not like a, oh, I appreciate you, and then like go some like actually showing you that I appreciate.
Yeah, you like, and yeah.
And so anyway, so that whole moment was just like that. But that made me think in that moment afterward of like, this is why people get into arguments, and especially when they have that traditional mindset, because I guess most is a bad, some men that are in traditional relationships or want traditional relationships have that mindset of, that's not my job. Mm-hmm. And it's to the death. It's not like, that's not my job, but like I could probably do it. It's like they will let trash like go into the next room because it's not their job to take out trash, or like they'll let dishes stack up.
But it'll be a constant nag too. It won't just be letting it do it silently. Yeah. It'll be a constant nag of, are you ever going to take this fucking trash out?
This is your job. Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Are you ever going to do these dishes?
And so in that moment, that's what I was thinking. In that moment, I was like, there are things like, as far as a like traditional marriage, that I do agree with, but that's not one of them. Because I feel just like in that moment, I could have either came out of the room and bitched to you about the dishes not being done,
Mhm.
or the kitchen still being a mess, or are you going to clean those dishes now that you're done and making them because there's
Mhm.
still dishes in the sink? Or
Yeah.
that's great that you did that, but can you do the living room? I could have done all those things, or I could have just been appreciative that you were doing it and and taken something off of that as an appreciation of, oh, thank you for doing this, which led me down the rabbit trail of traditional marriages. Because I feel like, again, like I said at the beginning of this, if you want a traditional marriage as a woman or as a man, doesn't really matter. If you want to sit at home all day and
but that's the thing. But that's the thing. If that's something you guys agreed upon, then great. That's great for you. I have nothing against traditional partnerships, as long as it's something that you've both agreed to and that you're both willing to put the work in together for.
Well, that's what I was saying that's what I was saying in the first place.
If it's a demanding thing, like I've told you countless times, the kind of relationship I was in before, where, I mean, there was a small period of time where I wasn't working and he was working and he was paying all the bills. And it was the first time ever in our entire relationship, because in the whole 8 years that we were like physically together, I think he had a job for a total of 3 if you combined all of it together. And so for him to like be paying for everything and for me to stay home for once, it was like, oh, okay, I'll do all this. But even in that, it was like I felt like I was doing it all. Like I felt like I was keeping the house clean. I was keeping the kids fed, bathed, clothed, looking nice.
Good enough.
I was doing or cooking dinner every night, doing the dishes every night. I was taking care of everything, and it was like he would find anything.
Little things?
He would find anything to derail everything I had done that day. Like, it was like he wouldn't acknowledge the fact that I was cooking. He wouldn't acknowledge the fact that the whole house was clean, that the kids looked good, that the house was fed, or
that you looked
that
good.
I looked good, that I had dressed up for the day. But he would go into his room and be like, you put my white shirt in with the greens in the closet. And I'd be like, okay, so move it. And he'd be like, well, I don't understand why you can't just do what I ask. And I'm like, because I did the dishes this morning, and then I made breakfast for everyone in the household, and then you know what I mean? And it's like, what the fuck, dude? Like, it was one fucking shirt that I tossed in the closet while I was wrangling a child. Like, it was a lot. It was just a lot. It was like, oh, the whole house. But it wasn't like I would get, oh, dinner smells great. Thank you for keeping the house clean today. Oh shit, babe, you put my shirt in the wrong place. It wasn't like that.
Next time, can you?
Yeah, next time can you make sure it gets in the right place? It wasn't like that. Like, even that would be a little like, okay, bro. But like, it wasn't like that. It was straight up just walks in the house, does not acknowledge me, does not acknowledge the children, does not acknowledge that I made food and that it's ready and warm for him. Just straight to his room to go do whatever, take a shower or whatever, and see that in his closet and just blow up about it. And it was like, what the fuck do you want from me? Like, what am I not doing right? And then get pissed off because I found attention in other places. Like, okay,
and
sorry.
First of all, I'll go back to what you said of I can only speak from a guy's perspective. However, I will put this out there that, like we've said before, if that's your relationship, if you and it's, I know there's a lot of hate on men in traditional relationships too, because they come off as assholes.
But that's the thing.
But
what
women,
kind of man are you in a traditional relationship? Are you like that? Or are you going to come home and be appreciative and thankful for everything I've done that day?
But that's what I was going to say. Women get a lot of flack for, I can't believe you would want to be in a, demanding, submissive, whatever the fuck, one
role,
of those words.
Whatever, yeah.
Yeah, role. If that works for you, then whatever. Well, I don't see why that's a big deal.
But also, it's very different if you're being that person and you're getting the appreciation day after day.
But that's what I was saying. If you are going to be that person both ways,
yeah,
you still need to be in a loving relationship.
Yeah.
if I'm going to expect you to do all these things, to take care of the kids, have them, and this is the other stuff that doesn't. I talked to my sister about this. Take them to appointments, do all their school shit, do all these things. If I'm expecting to come home to my life being taken care of when I get through the door, then I should be able to come home and be like, thank you. And appreciate you and love you. And see, what else is holding me up from doing that? And that's my point. Is that like if the house is a mess or the kids are yelling or whatever, there are interferences in me appreciating you to some degree. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? But if I'm expecting you to take all those things away, then there's no reason for me as a man coming into that relationship to not be able to appreciate what you've done. And it's that part that bothers me. It's men that go, well, they're doing all of this, so I just get to come home, crack a beer, watch TV, and that's my life. I don't have to take care of the kids. I don't have to worry about this. Yeah, but at the same time,
I don't have to do this. That's fucked up too, because when do I get a day off? I'm literally working 24/7. And that's the thing that always bothered me too when I was in that kind of relationship, is because it's like, well, where do I get appreciated for working all day? Okay, but here's the thing, bud. If you went to work and decided that you were only going to half-ass your job all day, you still got paid the same amount.
Yeah.
You still worked the same amount of hours, and you didn't do even half the amount of work that day. Mm-hmm. But if I would have done that here at home, if I would have slacked off and only done half the amount of work that day, I wouldn't have gotten appreciation for that. So how am I, like, as a wife, who's doing everything at the house and making sure that even when you come home, you don't have to fucking lift a finger. Mm-hmm. Even when you come home, you don't have to take care of the kids or cook dinner or do the dishes or bathe the children or anything. How is it my responsibility to tell you thank you? I already did. Mm-hmm. I did everything for you.
This is your thank you.
I'm continuously saying thank you to you by making sure you don't have to lift a fucking finger when you get home. By making sure you can relax when you get home. And then now, I'm not getting appreciation because you didn't get appreciated for going to work? You did, bud. You did. And I don't see you buying me. Like, that's another thing. Like, it wasn't like I was getting things. It's not like I was getting bought things. It's not like I had to borrow money from other people just to put gas in my own car at that time. So it wasn't like I was getting an allowance. I had no money. Zero.
So again, there bleeds into another one of my points that I was thinking of. Is that so? Obviously, I mean, I would like to think that in a perfect world, you would like a traditional relationship without the expectations. You would like to stay at home all the time without the expectations.
Honestly, in a perfect world,
without expectations of like everything needs to be spotless.
And in a perfect world, everything would be spotless.
Yeah.
In a perfect world, if I could have my life be the way I want it to be.
Our toddler was older.
Well, even if our toddler just wasn't so much. Like, don't get me wrong, I love him. And I love how much he is. I love how much he wants to be on me and hang on to me. I love how much he wants my attention and wants me to do things with him and play with him. But at the same time, it does affect what I'm able to accomplish throughout the day. And it does tire me out to the point where when I do get a fucking moment of peace because he's watching TV, I don't want to do anything. I just want to sit there and decompress.
I just want to.
So in the last 3 hours of playing pirate ships, okay?
I just want to keep that 10 minutes of peace.
Want to feel the peace. But like in a perfect world, I would love to be able to take care of all of the household shit. I would love to be able to let you come home to a clean house and to everything being taken care of and perfect. But in the perfect world, I would also love a nice chunk of allowance. I would also love to be able to buy $500 worth of groceries every 2 weeks.
So that okay.
But as a one income household in this economy, that's not plausible.
I will use that as my example because that is the part, and I think that I don't know if you can speak to this, but that is a big thing about like when people talk about relationships like this is those trigger sentences. Such as getting an allowance.
Oh yeah. Okay, yeah. I understand it's not an allowance.
Okay, but
I don't really like the word allowance either necessarily. But I'm not. I mean, I am working for it, but I'm not physically going to the job. The paycheck is not in my name.
But my point being, I don't think it should be looked at as a negative. I will go back to whatever works in your relationship works for your relationship. I feel like
I think it depends on how it's presented to you.
Yeah, if the man
is like, or if the moneymaker is like
we've said,
here, baby, here's your allowance for doing such a good job this week. I mean, that's a little fucking like gross.
I wouldn't have even gotten that
come
far.
At me like that.
I wouldn't have even gotten that far. I would have. My example was going to be like we talked about before, of like here's your $300, $400, whatever allowance. Oh, you went through that, so I guess you don't get to eat for the rest of the week.
Yeah, shut up.
Things things like that.
That's the thing. If it's an allowance, then it's an allowance that is not expected to pay anything.
Yeah.
That's what I'm talking about. I'm not talking about, oh, you gave me $300 so I could pay the water and my phone bill. That's not allowance. That's the money that I need to be able to pay these bills that just naturally, like, it wouldn't be any different than if the bills were in your name and you were just paying them. It's the same thing. It's just they happen to be in my name, so like I'm paying them.
So going back to the expectations thing,
an allowance would be like money that I get to use for myself.
So like get your nails done or go buy food.
Yeah, to like, do not even buy food. Not like food for necessity too.
Not like food for the house. I mean, like
like go on a girl date with someone, or take my kid to go eat McDonald's at the play place. Yeah, I understand. Yeah, but like if I want to spend that money on whatever the fuck I want to spend it on, I think I have earned that by making sure the whole house is fucking pristine. But
so. Going back to
is that why we're so broke? It's because the house isn't pristine?
No. No, actually, if you really want to know why we're broke, it's going to be this next point that I'm going to make. But going back to the expectations thing. So if I expect you in a marriage, in our marriage, which is different from most, but if I expect you to keep everything clean and whatever, right? And you don't do that. Me personally, I would not be like, well, you didn't do your job. So I'm going to go get food while you can make whatever you want in the house. Yes. And so like,
because who the fuck are you now? Like, you're not my partner. You're not my husband. You're my master. Slave driver. What the fuck is this? Yeah.
But also
You've been a bad dog. You get no treats.
Going back to my point about appreciation that I said before, though, is that I feel like even little things, and I would like to think, I don't know, maybe you can disagree. I think that me and you are very good at appreciating the little things because I understood a long time ago, as I'm sure you did, maybe not, that humans as a whole, people as a whole, respond to good behavior.
Yeah.
If somebody tells you, I mean, we do it with kids all the time. If somebody tells you you're doing a great job, your brain is like, oh,
we get a little shot of serotonin.
Yeah, we want to keep doing it. Yeah, we want to keep doing this. So I have done that as you have in this relationship, and I feel like it's made it so we have an understanding where things like this, expectation wise, of like, obviously we've talked over the years, whoever's at home watching the kids has things that they have to do at home, and that's the expectation. And like I said before, even when I was at home,
I was gonna say, and we've switched roles. It's not like we've never been in a situation where he's.
Even when I was at home, it was the same way. Yes, there are times that it's like, fucking kidding me right now? But also, there's a lot of appreciation, understanding for the little things too, like when you were making food.
Yeah.
And also, the fact that you're not making money, there are things that we are still showing appreciation to each other through those things.
Yeah.
Like me getting you clothes, or like you, I don't know, spending time with me, or like
sex.
Well, yeah, but that's not the only thing. It's a nice appreciation. Quick, simple, doesn't take very long.
I tried to make you a hat.
Very little effort on her part. Anyway.
I don't think it's very little effort on my part, thank you. I think it's a lot of effort on my part, thank you very much.
Sorry, very little effort on my part. Doesn't take very long. But yeah, but they're just like little things. And that's where I feel like the disconnect is in relationships and in marriages, and why there's a stigma about traditional relationships. I don't think I said this in the beginning, I don't think the idea of a traditional marriage is a bad idea. I don't think that's a bad idea. I think if you're going to go logically, it's a good idea. I think men are wired internally to fix and make and go out and work.
Yeah.
That's what we're wired to do.
But not every man either, though.
And women are generally wired for nurturing and whatever. Most children need their moms more than their dads. So the whole idea of a woman staying home and taking care of the children and being in their lives every day and getting to take them to like school and appointments and all of that, that makes sense to me. And so that part of it, I agree with.
The only thing I would disagree with you on is the children factor. I think early on, in like the very early stages of childhood, like infant until maybe like 2, I think yes, the mother is the most important factor in that. And I don't mean this against men who have infants or babies. It's just naturally, like in a natural sense, they have been inside us for the last 9 months.
I say that all the time.
And now they're exposed to this world.
Expelled out.
Yeah, and it's traumatizing for them. There's studies it's legit. There's plenty of studies. It is traumatizing.
So look it up.
It is traumatizing for infants. It is a traumatizing thing. And after that, they need
it's a whole lot of light all at once.
They need the mother to feel comfort in a cold world that they don't understand. And it's not just I need them for a day or 2. They need that for a good period of time. And so to be ripped away from that, I understand, like, that's traumatizing. And so, yes, I would agree with you. In those first early stages, yes, it is very important that the children have their mother and they're very, like, mother-oriented. I feel like later on in the stages, it could go either way. I mean, I was extremely attached to my father through all of my childhood. So, like, I don't see that being a bad thing. Like, you know what I mean?
But I don't think, I don't know how to word that. I wouldn't say exclusively like a mom should just be in their life. I just mean as far as like day-to-day children growing, I would say probably up until about 12 to 13, probably around Alice's age. A nurturing person, whichever person that is.
Okay, because that's what I was gonna say. But in my case, as far as my parents, the nurturer was my father.
That's what I was saying. Most times it's the woman.
Okay.
So that nurturing person being at home every day, take them to school, that thing, that makes sense to me. Because I'm like, yeah, okay, that makes sense for development of children. That makes sense. And if you have somebody, like I've said, if you have a woman as your partner who does like doing dishes or doesn't mind it, I shouldn't say like it. Nobody likes doing dishes.
Well, but I can't say that. There are people who like doing dishes.
They're fucking
And
weird.
to be fair, my mom reminded me too that I did like doing dishes.
I did dishes. I as much as people say I did dishes when I had my own apartment.
No.
I did dishes all the time.
Like as a kid. Like I used
That's what tricked Cheryl. Is I did dishes all the time.
Yeah. His apartment, like, there was never dishes. There was never dirty dishes
ever.
in his apartment.
I did them all the time. But also I didn't have anybody in my apartment. So I would just drink at night with nobody there and just fucking do dishes and not have anybody screaming or yelling or coming downstairs or asking me what we had for food. So it was a lot easier to do dishes by myself too.
That's the problem. We just need to leave the house for like 3 hours at night.
You'll use your allowance to get a hotel room.
I'll take the kids to Olive Garden and then a trampoline park.
It'd be like, are they done yet? Anyway, but that whole thought process with how men and women are wired, that makes sense to me as far as like a traditional relationship goes. However, like I've said, and like I said to you, and like I said to my sister when I talked to her about it, is that there also has to be leeway in that agreement too. If me and you have an agreement of like you're gonna stay home, you're gonna do the dishes, you're gonna cook, you're gonna clean, you're gonna do all this stuff.
Yeah, you're gonna be a trad wife, get it?
And I'm gonna go and make all the food, and I expect when I come home to not have to worry about anything. I can sit there, I can play video games, like whatever, because you're taking care of everything.
Okay, but like everything or like our version? Our version or trad wife?
No. Situation. Well, for this example, the trad wife example.
Okay, so you're still doing like yard work and honeydews.
Yes. Okay. If we have this agreement, right? I think there should be leeway to where like depression happens.
Yeah.
People get hurt.
Yeah.
If you break your fucking leg and
I'm not going to be able to stand around and do fucking
I'm not going to sit there and be like, you want to wheel yourself over to fucking do the dishes or cook something?
Would you like me to pop you up a chair next to the oven so you can cook me dinner, bitch? Because like, the fuck are we doing?
That's what I'm saying. I think that there needs to be some sort of leeway. And again, I'm speaking generally. I'm speaking generally. I'm not speaking specifically to a relationship.
It's even bigger. It's even smaller things than that. Well, not necessarily smaller, but it's even like other things too. Like it may not even have to do with that person. Yeah. Like okay, like in our situation, like my dad had a stroke, and for a little while there, he was quite off, and he couldn't work, he couldn't do anything. He was getting really scared when he was home alone, and it was scaring his wife when he was home alone. So they asked me to come, like, babysit him. Well, I can't babysit my dad at his house for like 8 hours and then come home and have everything done before you wake up from your nap. Yeah. Like it's just not gonna that's not plausible. There's gonna be life things that happen that make things harder to do. And even simple things like like Emma had a game. Like let's say Emma had a game that day, and I had to be at her game. Well, something is going to get missed. Something is not going to get done that day because I had other obligations.
So, there's a phrase and I know this sounds like I'm talking negatively about this whole thing, but I'm not. I'm really not.
I know, because you keep saying man and like wife, and it keeps triggering me a little. But I'm like keep telling myself he doesn't mean it like that. I know you don't. I know you don't, but it keeps triggering me, and I want to correct you every time. Like I want to be like, it doesn't have to be.
I know, but this part actually probably will trigger you because
here we go.
Sorry, but so there's a thing that I heard from somebody I talked to about this. There was a statement that came out of their mouth about talking about this that bothers me because, one, it's out of context. Two, I feel like it goes both ways and everybody just wants to use it for the woman to kind of put the woman in their place, so to speak.
Place. Yeah. Got it.
So when people talk about traditional marriages and traditional relationships, they often... not always, but they often bring up according to the Bible, it is the woman's position to serve the man, right?
Yeah.
That's a thing. Okay. But however, I will point out that it also
Can I ask a question though?
can I,
in what half of the Bible is that written in?
okay. Regardless, let's go to
Is it in the first half that's null and void now? Go ahead.
Okay.
Jesus died for those.
Let's go.
He died for me not to have to be in that position.
Okay, my other point is, though, to your point, Jesus also called us later to all be servants, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so we're all meant to serve, not just women, not just one gender. Okay, so that being said, if your expectation, again, going back to expectation, your expectation is that your wife or significant other, whatever, is to serve you in whatever way that means to you in your relationship, as far as like cooking, cleaning, what the fuck ever, right? Then I feel like it is your responsibility to also serve that person.
Yeah.
If they are doing that for you, then you should be doing that in whatever way you can. In the same way, if I'm the one making the money all the time and I'm going to work, okay, that's an exaggeration. 10 hours a day. I was going to say 12. If I'm going to work 10 hours a day, every day, coming home, making all the money for you, and you are doing the things that I expect you to do, like taking care of the children, cooking, cleaning, what the fuck ever, then my service to you should be, okay, what do you need help with? Hey, I see that you're not...
Do you need 20 minutes to yourself? Or do you want an hour to yourself?
Do you want to take a shower?
That would be fucking nice.
Like just things like that. I feel like, and not just traditional relationships, but relationships in general. I feel like too many people, both ways, get hung up on this is your job, this is my job, this is your expectation, this is my expectation. Whereas, especially with me and you, and we started doing this early on, and we've talked about it many times, of it should be about what benefits your team instead of what benefits your job. If you need 10 minutes, whether the house is clean or not, whether Wyatt is in a dirty diaper or not,
maybe I need 10 minutes to work on the house.
Yeah, regardless of any of that, if I come home after working all day, and I'm tired and I'm stressed and whatever, and I walk through the door and you come at me and you're like, "Can I just have 10 minutes?" Why? Why would I look at you and be like, "I'm not supposed to be doing anything. I just worked 8 hours. I'm making the money. Why do you need to?" Fucking childish. I'm just. It benefits the whole household, and this is kind of the point, the rabbit trail I went down in this whole conversation. It benefits the entire household for you to work together. If you agree that this is your job, this is my job, that's fine. Whatever works for your marriage, I don't really fucking care. If you want to be in a traditional marriage, I don't care. I'm not going to look down on you about it. But it has to be what benefits the entire household, not what benefits you as the man, not what benefits you as the woman. The entire household.
Yeah.
If me going to work all the time and coming home and giving you that 20 minutes, whether I want to, whether I want to deal with Wyatt screaming or the girls asking me 50 billion questions or cleaning up or doing any of this stuff that I really don't want to do when I get home.
Yeah.
If me doing that makes you feel better or makes you feel less stressed about the situation.
But also at the same time, you shouldn't be compromising your feelings and your emotions and what am I looking? I'm looking for a certain word, but I'm not going to get it. You shouldn't be compromising yourself just to make sure I'm happy all the time, because eventually that is going to cause resentments.
But then it does. But again, I'll go back to, and I'm not saying that we have the best marriage because we don't. But I would like to think that
according to others, we do.
I would like to think that it's a lot better than most. However, I would not put it in the category as best. Me personally, I would say it's a lot better. I've seen a lot of marriages, and I'm going to go.
I've seen a lot of marriages.
I'm going to go ahead and say we're up there. I just wouldn't say best. But going back to that, that's where communication goes into that too. It's the same way as, you. I shouldn't say letting me, but me being like the sole provider of the household. That's nice, and I'm sure that's nice for you because like you don't really have to worry about it.
Well, I
but
mean,
us talking, but us talking about it.
Because I do like to provide money. It is a thing for me.
No, I'm not saying. I wasn't saying like you don't want to. I'm just saying like I'm sure it's nice to not have to go to work.
Yeah, it's nice to not have the need.
But
like,
also,
it's nice to wake up in the morning and.
Wake up in the morning.
Well, when you're working every day, you wake up sometimes and you're like, man, I just don't want to fucking go today. It's nice to not have that anymore.
Yeah.
It's nice to get up
and be like, oh, I don't have to go to work.
That's right.
That sucks. But like the communication of that is what I was getting at. Is like, and that's where I think the benefit of our relationship and where the benefit of communication in general comes into stuff like that.
Yeah.
Whereas, like, if you're focused on this is my job, this is your job, this is what we have, instead of what benefits the entire household, I feel like you're missing things that could help the household. Yeah. You know what I mean? You're breeding situations that are just going to cause arguments and fights and stuff, rather than, hey, how can we help each other? How can we help this team? How can we make these things better? The shower thing is a big thing, and I know that people overlook that conversation that we've had. But I know personally for you it's a big thing. But I mean, in general, as an example. But
it's not just for me. I've seen so many women have the same issue.
But as an example, it's a big thing that people overlook. Like something as simple as like, hey, do you want to go take a shower? Yeah. Like even, and I just got done saying this, even if I come home and I'm tired and stressed and whatever, I feel like even the thought of like, hey, maybe she could use a shower, or like maybe she could like use this,
and
or
I'm
like,
just gonna say this,
or like, hey, she's been feeling really bad about herself. Maybe I should buy her like a skirt or something.
Yeah.
Like just shit like that.
I'm just gonna say this as like a PSA, like off just. Period. And you should back me up on this because men listen to men better than they listen to women.
Back me up on this.
Back me up on this. Especially in the early stages of motherhood. In like the first year and a half to 2 years. Offer her a shower every chance you fucking get.
Because she'll forget.
It's not even a forget thing necessarily. It's just a baby is so demanding. Constantly demanding that you do not have time for a shower, period. You don't have it. And so like just like, and she's gonna argue with you, say, hey, why don't you go take a shower? And she's gonna be like, no, it's okay, the baby needs this, and then they're gonna need this, and then they're gonna want to eat. Just be like, I've got it. If they cry for a little while, it's fine, I can handle it. Go take a shower. Like just even if it's just a rinse off, like just let them, tell them to do it, make them do it.
But the point in marriage, to that point, is that benefits the team. Yeah. That benefits the whole household.
It really does, because if they feel better, they're gonna be more okay with doing more than what they're doing. I'm gonna tell you right now, you as a woman, after you have a baby, not only is your body going through a lot, your brain is going through a lot, and everything has changed. I know for men, everything has changed too. The whole household dynamic has changed. Everything about how things in the house work, everything about how things in the relationship work, I get that. But you do not go through the physical change that we go through, and you do not go through the mental chemical change that we go through. And it is not as demanding on you as far as a baby as it is for a woman. Because it's not only everything that's happening to us in our bodies, But now we also have a chemical telling us that we have to take care of this thing that we had. We have a chemical telling us that we have to constantly be there and constantly be the one. And we have to be the one to do it. Not, oh, we can do this together. Oh, he can do it too. Like, I know.
Just me.
I know even with my third child, even after having 3 of them, by the time I had my third child, I had to constantly remind myself, like, in my own brain, like, he is here to help. He can do things too. He can change a diaper. He can put him to sleep. He can just hold him for 5 minutes. Like, I had to constantly remind myself that it didn't have to be me. And so, like, women, we don't know how to shut that off. It's just you. Like, so as a man in that situation, we really need you to just tell us that it's okay. You need not just ask, you need to demand it out of us to help. You need to demand to help. You need to demand to give us a minute.
I was gonna say and I know I use this as my example a lot, but that's why I started sleeping with Wyatt. Was for that reason. Was because you were very adamant, even though you were hyperventilating and crying and having panic attacks because you weren't sleeping and he wasn't sleeping and you couldn't put him to sleep and he wouldn't stay asleep for very long and whatever. And every time I would be like, I'll just put him to sleep. You'd be like, no, I could do it.
Because everything you can't do becomes an absolute personal failure.
Yeah. But again, that was why I said that. But I had to be like, I am doing this. You can either choose to sleep during this time, or you can sit there and be mad at me and be upset. I don't care. Either way, I'm putting him to sleep. So you can choose this time that you can either be sleeping or being mad. Use that whenever you want. But in that way though, it wasn't me being an asshole to you. I mean, we never argued about it, really. But it was one of those things of like, I'm trying to help you. Like, this is something I can do. I can't breastfeed.
Yeah.
I can't I can't take a shower for you. But like this is something
I can't poop for you either. Like, you gotta do that on your own, girl.
But this is something I can do for you.
Yeah.
And it goes and even in that example, it goes back to appreciation in those moments too. I mean, I know that there were times you were angry at me for doing that to you, but also like in the morning.
We can't help that shit.
But in the morning,
we mentally and physically cannot help it.
But also in the same regard, in the morning when you got sleep,
I was appreciative.
You were like, "Thank you for like
forcing that.
Yeah,
thank you for making that happen."
And I feel like that's what's benefited, and I will always go back to this. I think that will benefit any relationship or marriage
with early children.
Well, in general, not just with children. Not just with children, but in general, is that constant affirmation, that constant appreciation for the little things, because we don't think about the little things.
Yeah.
9 times out of 10, I mean, we do, because it's a force of habit now, because we've been doing it for so long. But even like the little things, like, hey, you got me a soda on your way home from work, or hey, you filled the gas tank, or hey, you moved your chair over here because you know I don't like the glare on the TV, like. You know what I mean? Like, just little things. I feel like those help relationships a lot more appreciative, because it makes you feel heard and seen and not taken advantage of.
Yeah.
And not overlooked. Which helps the whole dynamic of the relationship, is because you want to be seen by your partner. That's the whole point of being in a marriage, is that you want to help the other person. You want to be with the other person. I don't know. I'm just a big person. I'm just a big thing on appreciation. I like appreciation. I think it helps. I think appreciation helps in a relationship.
Should we get t-shirts?
says what?
It says appreciate you, and then I'll just give you a t-shirt. I'll just get a huge stack of t-shirts.
Appreciate you.
And then like every time you do anything that I appreciate,
they need to have, you know how they have you know how books have page numbers? They need to have that, but on the t-shirt. Like every time. That way when I wear like I appreciate you number 20.
Our House LLC.
Anyway.
I just want to put it out there though. My all-time favorite neurotic mom like moment that like women have, and I've done it with all 3 kids, and if I had more kids, I would probably do it with every other one after that too, because it happens. But my favorite thing that always makes me laugh about later. Mm-hmm. And sometimes it even makes me like giggle in my head when I do it, but I'm so angry that like there's no way I'm gonna show anybody else that I'm like annoyed, giggling at myself. Mm-hmm. But my favorite thing that's ever come out of my mouth, and I know it's come out of other women's mouths, is here, you just do it. Mm-hmm. And then within minutes, stop, I've got it. Like or I can't take this anymore. Take this fucking child. And then within seconds, you're like, I've got it. I can handle it. Like
those 2 seconds of disconnect. You're like, nope, that's not what we wanted.
We didn't want him to do it. He's not going to do it right. Yeah. Alice was the worst for that. Because she was my screamer. So she was constantly screaming, crying. I mean, from the moment she came out of me until she was about 2 years old, it was just a scream fest. And so there'd be sleepless nights. I mean, and when I say sleepless nights, I mean sleepless. Because this girl did not sleep. She just screamed. And so there'd be nights where, like, it'd be days upon days upon days of no sleep for me at all. And then I'd just be in bed holding her like this, staring at her, just bawling. Like, I'm bawling. Mm-hmm. And then I would look at Jake and be like, just take her! And he would be trying to, like, calm her down and get her to stop screaming. And within seconds...
And it wasn't quick enough?
But it wasn't happening fast enough for my brain that I was like, never mind!
Yeah.
I've got it!
This is such a blessing.
I love you so much.
Anyway.
Yeah.
I don't know. That's my biggest thing is I think appreciation is the best part of a healthy relationship. I think appreciation will get you a lot further than I think people's expectations kill relationships. Me and you have talked about that for years. But also I think appreciation is one of the things that people overlook in relationships a lot.
Also, disclaimer, I am no longer a full-time stay-at-home mom, thank you. I have a job as a crossing guard.
She's a professional crossing guard.
And yes, you get paid for that. For everyone who's already asked me, you get paid for that? Yes.
So I was saving this for the podcast. I know 100% she doesn't even know what I'm about to say because I was saving this for the podcast because I want to see your face when I tell you. I was very disappointed because I was fully expecting you to come home from your training, whatever, to be a crossing guard, with the stop sign, waking me up with the stop sign and saying, stop in the name
I didn't get the stop sign yet. I only got this.
I was literally... Yeah, she's got her own school sign.
It's a me size. Anyways.
Literally, I woke up after you leaving, and that played through my head, and I waited the entire time for you to come home.
I didn't get my stop sign yet because they didn't get delivered to the city yet.
No, I just wanted to tell you.
But I have my whistle and my vest and my light up strappy thing, and my cross card billboard. Because I'm a substitute one. That's why I get my own. Because I got to take it with me. To whatever corner. I work the corners now.
And Emma's super excited.
I told Emma that. I told my daughter, I was like, your mom's a corner worker now. And she goes, I'm going to tell everybody that's what you do. I'm like, great.
Anyway, do you have any closing thoughts or comments?
I don't know. I don't know. Oh, one more question for you, because you said something earlier that triggered me too.
You didn't even ask me a whole lot of questions.
I didn't get to. You talked a lot.
Sorry, I was trying to get to. I told you I was gonna. I told you I was gonna wrap a bunch of things in.
I was gonna ask you a lot of things, but
no, go ahead.
You were like.
Ask me. We probably.
No, it's fine. It's fine. It's one question.
Okay, what?
Okay, so we've been living here for almost 2 years now, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Why is our garage still full of shit?
No. So, in the kitchen,
yes,
the cupboard door that you get the plates from.
Are you asking me a question?
I'm asking you a question
that I should have fixed that I didn't.
No.
Okay.
No. How many times have you tightened the screw in that cupboard door?
Twice. Why?
Because you said that it's natural for men, and I know you didn't mean like all men, and I know that you didn't mean yourself.
Yeah.
But it triggered me because I was like, "Oh, it's not natural for you, baby." Because every time that screw is loose, I tighten it. Oh. Whereas, like, I have watched you.
I know.
Open, close, open, close with hanging like this.
You know the funny part about you bringing that up is I've done it the same time that you've complained about it. I've watched you open that and been like, oh, I should really fix that. Close it. And then I've opened it, not even looked at the screw, just opened it, grabbed a plate, shut it, even though I heard you complain about it.
Yeah, because it's not natural to you.
It's not.
You're not, and I've
not
seen
those.
this.
Not those things. There are things.
Yes, but I've seen men that are like me, where they open something that screeches, like our bedroom door. Our bedroom door screeches, and every time I open that bedroom door, I'm like, oh, I gotta WD-40 this door. Every time I open it, I think it. Mm-hmm. And I know that doesn't come natural to you. Mm-hmm. Like, you know what I mean? I know those things aren't like you, but I know other men are like me, where they do or see or hear things like that, and they're like, I should really go get my tools right now. And I do have way more motivation on that than you do, as far as just grabbing the tool bag and getting down to business. Let's get down to business to screw the cupboard. Which, by the way, for everyone who is wondering why
I'm not sure we should sing that song.
For everyone who's like, well, you're not really fixing it if you're just tightening the screw every time and it keeps getting loose.
I don't think anybody would say that.
Okay, but there are men or there are women like me who are thinking that, because I keep thinking it. It's because we rent. We rent. They are not my cupboard doors. And to fix the problem, I would have to install a new bracket system. And I don't want to do that without permission from the landlord. So,
anyway.
And I have issues with talking to landlords. So
there are other things in our lives, though, that do that to me, though.
Do? Yeah, your cars.
They bother me.
You're like that with the cars.
That bother me.
And I'm not like that with the cars.
No.
I don't give a fuck.
I do.
Like, every time I get in the car and it's like, you should do an oil change, I'm like, pfft.
I cannot. I am super. There are times because we don't have the money.
And it's not because. So. And it's not because I'm a woman and I don't want to
finish my sentence. There are times that we don't do things, or I don't do things, because we don't have the money to do it, and it bothers me so much.
Why don't you just ask me to do an oil change then?
No, it's not. It's not really the oil change. It's like other things. The oil change. My wife is going to look at me with a crazy look when I make this statement. I don't care about an oil change. I know how long I can ride a car without doing an oil change.
Oh, really?
Yes, I do. I've done it. But
my husband also breaks every transmission in every car he owns.
That's true. But it's because I got a heavy foot.
Yeah,
and I don't like.
That's it.
And I don't like waiting. Luckily, that's why. Luckily, we have a Hemi in the truck, so it hasn't been an issue yet.
No, he just put 2 dents in the back of it. Is all.
Fine. Anyway,
you do realize that all the dents in all of our vehicles are from you.
No, thank you. You realize that you rarely drive any of our vehicles, so the
superior driver.
So the odds of you having a dent in either one of our vehicles
how many times
is very
have I
low.
parked in a parking lot and not hit a pole?
How many times have you sat in the passenger seat while we've been driving somewhere?
Okay. And how many times do you get mad at me when I'm like, don't back up any further, and you're like, I've got it, but then every time I don't say anything, you hit a pole.
Okay, the only one that I'm going to take credit for is the one when we were at Walmart. Because that one was legitimately my fault. I didn't see it. However, the one at T-Mobile, that was bad parking spot placement in a big vehicle. There wasn't a whole lot of room. There wasn't a whole lot of room to back up.
Okay, but you backed up into a pole.
Yeah, because I was okay. Anyway, we're not talking about this. Anyway,
I think the one at Walmart got me because irked me more than the one at T-Mobile because I was like, oh, but I didn't say anything because you always snap at me when I do, and then we hit, and I was like, fucking said something.
The one at Walmart bothered me too because I knew that I was too close, and I was like, nah.
And you went,
I still got a little bit of room. No, because I was like, I still got a little bit of room.
I know I'm too close, but I'm gonna hit this gas hard.
I was I was like, I know I'm close to this pole, but I still have a little bit of. I always think I'm too close to poles, so I still got a little bit of room. And then I was like, nope, that was it. That the room I had, that was it. That was the only room I had. There was no little. Anyway, not the point. But yes, I have stuff with cars bothering me.
Yeah.
Anything that's wrong with cars bothers me.
I know, because if a headlight's out for me, I don't give a fuck.
I will not let a head.
See, here's the thing.
Headlights take me by surprise.
Headlights?
And it bothers. You know how much I know. Okay, sorry.
Headlights only bother
I know that this isn't plugged into anything, but seriously, headlights bother the shit out of me.
I know they do.
I never notice them, and they always seem to go out when a cop pulls me over. I can look at the headlights every single day when I leave for work, and they'll always be on. When they go out, when a cop is following me and pulls me over and says, "Your headlight's out," and I'm like, "Oh, which one?" You know how many times I've told cops that?
I know. Because you come and tell me that you have to go buy a headlight every time.
Yeah, and then the day of, if not the next day, I change it out because I don't like it.
See, okay, if I know that the car's registered and insurance is good and everything's fine.
Zach's name, I don't give a fuck.
Yeah, I don't care. I'm like, whatever, headlights out, who fuck cares? Here's the thing.
Not my license.
Here's the thing. I can't tell you how many times in the old truck, I can't tell you how many times the headlight was out and I just kicked it and it popped back on and I just got in the truck and drove. Mm-hmm. And I was like, I don't fucking care. And then you were like, it keeps going out. I need to change the light. And I was like, you just hit it. It comes back on. And you're like, no, we have to fix it. I'm like, okay. Headlights do not bother me.
Or the battery.
You know what bothers me?
Or the battery in the truck.
That doesn't bother me either.
It bothers me. I fixed it.
Okay, it bothers me. It bothers me that I have to do extra things to get the truck started. But it doesn't bother me. I know, but it doesn't bother me enough to fix the issue. You know what I mean? It's not like it's like, oh, how inconvenient. But it doesn't bother me enough to go out there with a brush and scrub the terminals. I don't care.
I spent 30 minutes on that truck trying to get that shit it was bothering the shit out of me that I could not start it.
I think as far as cars go, I think it's because I think honestly it's just because I took those maintenance classes.
Yeah.
And I just don't.
So it's not that big a deal?
Well, it's not even that it's not that big of a deal. It's just like, oh, it's fixable, but it's not like, if I don't do it, it's not gonna, okay, the cover door. The cover door bothers me because the longer it hangs, the more likely it is that it's just gonna break off. And then you're gonna have, broken pieces of cover there, right?
But an oil change doesn't do the same thing for an engine?
Oil changes are different, but they can wait until I get paid for an oil change. I don't have to go out there and do one myself. You know what I mean? Yeah. It's not like with the cover door where I have to fix it myself or it's going to break it. An oil change, it can go a little longer. Well, I can just put in some extra oil. I can just top her off until I get paid again. I don't have to go do the oil change because the cars fall apart.
Did I ever? We should stop soon. But did I ever tell you about Emma when I did that? So the last time, I think it was the truck. I'm pretty sure it was the truck because I haven't missed an oil change on the car yet. But I just kept putting oil in it.
Yeah. I figured it out.
I just kept putting oil in it. And there was like, it had gone on for like at least
a long time. We did a lot with the truck, to be fair.
At least 2 months.
Yeah.
Of not getting an oil change.
And it needing it.
And Emma just saw me kept putting oil in it. And the last time I did it, it was on the way to take her to school.
Yeah.
And she's like, why don't you just get an oil change? And I was like, why don't you just go to school?
Why don't you just walk then? So we don't have to drive the truck that needs an oil change.
I was like, because I gotta wait to do the oil change. And she was like, well, why didn't you do it the last time you got paid? And I was like, because I had to pay rent!
I think the thing that gets me about how long sometimes you wait on that and just keep adding oil is like the amount of oil you've bought to keep topping it off probably costs more than the oil change.
The oil change, yeah, I know. But it's just small increments. And it still bothers me, don't get me wrong. It still bothers me. Every time I have to put oil in instead of getting oil, it bothers the shit.
You know what's funny though is that everybody listening to this that knows anything about cars is going to be like, you do realize you have to put oil in between oil changes, right?
Yeah. What was?
No, we just get an oil change every
Just check the oil and be like, oh, time for
an oil change. It's empty. Our dipstick
Did you say?
We're dipsticks. We got dipsticks.
So Cheryl said that to me one time, not knowing that I had literally just waited to do the oil change. So I was putting oil, it was the truck. I was putting oil in the truck to get a totally change. And it happened to be almost out of oil when I took it to get the oil change. And Cheryl was in the passenger seat as we're at the mechanics getting the oil change. And they do the dipstick thing. And they're like, there's no oil in that. And she turned, she's like, oh, it's almost empty. And they were like, okay, and then we'll put oil in it. And once they walked away, Cheryl looked at me and was like, you realize you're supposed to put oil in it before you get the oil change.
No, not necessarily before you get the oil change, but like throughout. Like you're supposed to periodically check your oil.
I just looked at her and I was like, I know.
What do you think oil changes are for?
I did. It just so happened that this particular time it didn't have oil in it.
I think the most embarrassed I've been with a vehicle, because I've definitely let my vehicles get to like embarrassing.
Oh, I hate new vehicles when you have to reset the oil.
Yeah. But like
when they're like, you know how to reset the oil, right? And I'm like,
no, I don't.
No.
My thing is like, most of the time I'm not really embarrassed when it comes to like taking my vehicles to mechanics or whatever, because I know what the fuck I'm talking about. Okay. And I know what I'm talking about, and I know what they're talking about, and I'm not usually swindled pretty bad. I think my most embarrassing vehicle situation though ever is when our old truck had a hole in the fuel line.
Yeah.
I think that was super fucking embarrassing for me, because every time I pump gas, someone would be like, you're spilling gas all over the ground. I know. Thank you.
Oh my god. That first
I am
time,
aware.
That first time though, that first time was bad.
When we didn't know that.
Yeah, because you had the automatic thing on.
Yeah, because we learned that if you pump gas slowly, it didn't spill as much, because the hole was kind of like on the side of the line, and so if you would pump it slowly, it wouldn't spill. It would still like drip a little bit, but it was nowhere near. But that first time when the hole first got there, and we just put the fucking thing in and I was just sitting in the driver's seat, or you were, so I don't even remember who was there or whatever, but like I got out and I looked at the ground, and it was like a fucking lake of gas. And what was the amount we had gotten up to as far as like, it was like $90-something.
Yeah, I was going to say it was close to 100.
And I was like, Zach, what the fuck? And you were like, I don't know. And that's when we realized we had a whole and then we went to get it fixed, and the people who fixed it didn't fix it.
Yeah.
Immediately after, I went to go pump gas, and there was still gas all over the ground. I was like, okay. And we knew that truck was done for anyway, so we didn't bother paying to try to get it fixed again. But I still had to drive it for like a couple more weeks until we could get the new truck. And every time I had to pump gas, that was super fucking embarrassing for me, because even the little puddle I would get from like slowly pumping it, every fucking time, some guy would have to walk up to me and be like, you know, you're spilling gas on the car, right?
Okay, so we're gonna.
Yes, I am aware.
We're gonna stop, but I am gonna throw this out there. I'm pretty sure I've said this on a podcast before, but this just reminds me every single time. I remember when I was changing the headlight outside of Walmart on the truck.
That guy.
And I looked at you and I was like, so this is what women feel like when they're trying to fix something on a car.
Yes. No, that's what women feel like anytime we do anything. That's like, mansplaining, babe.
But I know. I know, but I just remember, because I got done doing the headlight. After the guy was like, do you need any help? Are you sure you don't need help?
4 times.
Do you need any help? Do you need any help?
And then you just stayed there watching.
Yeah,
make
sure
and
he just
right.
stood by his truck watching me change. And I got done changing the headlight, and I got in the car, and you were like, "What?" And I was like, "I understand how frustrating it is for women now to do anything on vehicles."
The only difference,
because I don't know. Okay, so I get. Hold on. So I get that people don't know how to do things. I understand that. And I understand it's nice to offer, like, if people need help. It's a fucking headlight.
Yeah.
Who needs help changing a headlight?
Well, hey,
also, sorry.
There are people out there who don't know how to know, and there's some headlight units that are...
But if I'm doing it, and you can see I'm doing it, why keep asking?
Yeah.
And so I got the truck. I was like,
the difference though between how women feel and what he experienced
is that the guy didn't come over and just start doing it himself.
Exactly. The guy didn't mansplain how to do it while I was doing it, or stick his hands in my vehicle while I'm trying to do it. That's the fucking difference.
Anyway, you should stop, because else nobody's gonna watch this one either.
Oops.
Rude.
When you just sat there while I punched you in the mouth. All right. Beans and cornbread, boop, boop. Beans and cornbread, boop, boop. Beans and cornbread, boop, boop.
Mansplaining, boop, boop.
Wow, wow, wow.